Greetings from Xavier Institute of Management, Bhubaneswar. We've undertaken this study to understand the sustainability practices across industries. So for our group, we have chosen the consumer durables sector. We are team 10, presented by Rohan, Siddharth, Shrishti, Subho and Suman. So we'll be starting with the introduction, going through the environmental impacts. We'll study the activity-wise risk. We'll go through the regulation sourcing standards. Thereafter, we'll have a look at the sustainability scorecard, how this is monitored. We'll also have a look at the technology and sustainability angle around it. And then the company-wise sustainable practices.
So now we come to the introduction of consumer durables. Consumer durables can be defined as those household goods which provide continuous or repeated use over a period of at least 1 year. Consumer durables can be divided into two categories, brown goods and white goods. Under white goods, we take TV, laptops, computers and audio systems. Under white goods come washing machine, microwave, cleaning equipment and air conditioners. India's consumer durables industry is valued at $9.7 billion as of 2015. This sector is expected to grow to $20.6 billion by 2020 and become the fifth largest in the world by 2025. Now we come to the environmental impacts of consumer durables. The production, use and disposal of consumer energy using durables represents a significant proportion of households' total impact on the environment. Impacts from motor vehicle production and use are well known. The table shown in the slide shows the relative importance of transport emissions in total economy-wide emissions for 4 different air pollutants. Car use alone is responsible for approximately 90% of carbon monoxide emissions from mobile sources and somewhat less for the other pollutants. In 1990, car use was responsible for approximately 1,800 million metric tons of carbon dioxide. However, it must be emphasized that by no means all car use is undertaken by households. Among consumer electronics, televisions have the highest overall energy use. Television electricity consumption increased by 17.2% between 1990 and 2000. By itself, standby power of appliances and other electrical equipment in the residential sector of OECD member countries is estimated to be responsible for 1.5% of total electricity consumption and to contribute 0.6% of CO2 emissions from the electricity sector. This represents annual CO2 emissions of 24 million European type cars. The production, use and disposal of consumer energy using durables represents a significant portion of households' total impact. Environmental impact through water extraction and water pollution, either directly with water using durables, washing machines and dishwashers, or indirectly with the growing use of water for energy generation purposes. Electricity consumption for a typical home may grow from around 350 kilowatt per hour a year in 2000 to 1400 kilowatt per hour a year per household in 2020.
Now let us come to the activity-wise risks. In this type of industry, there is a consumer durable industry. There are an arena of B2B products that form the supply chain of this entire thing. It starts from the raw materials that are produced, the materials that are used for the production, the processing part, the transportation of these products, and the after use, that is the disposal after the completion of the life cycle of these products. In these each and every touch points, there is a possibility of environmental damage, and let us analyze them properly. During the extraction of raw materials, a lot of harm, especially in the iron and cobalt and nickel industry, a lot of harmful elements are exposed to the environment, which actually damage the quality of the society as a large. In case of production of these type of consumer durable products, a lot of arsenic, CFC and refrigerants are used, which are highly harmful to the environment. Now these type of materials are processed to make them much more durable, and as a result a lot of chemicals are used. Now these chemicals tend to destroy the soil and the nearby water bodies, and thus they damage the environments. Now these consumer durables are usually bulky in nature, and hence they are transported from one portion of a country to another portion, and as a result a lot of energy is used for the transportation of these products. They are mainly done via train or via transportation companies, and as a result they use up lot of energy, which actually damages the environment. Now after the product life cycle, they have to be disposed or recycled or reused. Unfortunately, in most of the sectors this thing has not been taken into much consideration, and the disposal and recycling methods are such that they actually tend to harm the environment to great extent. Now as we have said before that there are various touch points. As a result, there are various regulations and sourcing standards that are followed in order to reduce the harm to the environment. Let us analyze few of them. For example, the sourcing standard on animal testing. In today's world, testing on animals is considered highly unethical, and as a result there are several standards that company has to follow. Product packaging is another part. Now packaging actually forms a bulk part of these products, as they have to be transferred from one position to another, but after this thing has been used by the consumer, this packaging is actually a waste, and since they are not disposed properly, they actually tend to harm the environment. As a result, companies must use packaging in such a way that they minimize their harmful effect to the environment. Similarly, the chemicals used must be done in a proper way, and they must be disposed of in a proper way to reduce their harmful impact. Energy efficiency of the end product is another part, as some companies tend to produce instruments which require a lot of energy. Now companies should innovate and make their products in such a way that they use less amount of energy, so that the carbon footprint from these products actually minimizes. Now products should be also innovated in such a way that they do not produce major damage to the environment by using less energy, less material, and by using less harmful chemicals. Now suppliers should also be screened properly, as the suppliers actually transfer materials from raw materials to the end product, and in many cases they extract raw materials in such a way that they harm the society and environment in every possible way. Companies also use migrant workers where they are underpaid and they are exploited. Companies should tend not to do this thing. And lastly, after the disposal, that is at the end of the life cycle of these products, they must be disposed in such a way, and there are a lot of sourcing standards which a company should follow, so that the harm to the environment is minimal in nature.
Coming on to the sustainability scorecard. The sustainability scorecard builds on the concept of a balanced business scorecard. The approach allows organizations to identify key drivers and how they are linked, and use this to develop targets and measures. Recognition of risk and opportunities of sustainability management is the one major advantage of this sustainability scorecard. Participation in global sustainability initiatives, connecting social responsibility issues and businesses. Stakeholder satisfaction can improve financial performance, but will also relate strongly to the organization's social and environmental impacts. We have divided this sustainability scorecard based on the 5 major aspects of it. They are people, change, co-prosperity, integrity, and excellence. Coming on to the people point, it is quite simply a company is it as its people. At Samsung, they make a point to give the people a wealth opportunity to reach their full potential. Change is constant, and innovation is critical to company's survival. Businesses cannot be successful unless it creates prosperity and opportunity. Operating in an ethical way is the foundation of our business, which leads to the pathstone of integrity value. The final point is about excellence. Everything at Samsung is driven by unyielding passion for excellence and unaltering commitment to develop the best products and services on the market. Moving ahead, the sustainability scorecard. The key issues by area and assessment results are divided into 3 major categories, that are people, society, and environment. In the people category, we jot down following points such as ethical management and compliance, board independence and reinforcement of risk management function, data and information security, human resources development and management, fair labor practices and human rights, workplace health and safety, supplier labor standards. The other category being the society. The points jotted on in it are transparency of information disclosure, stakeholder engagement, responsible procurement, raw materials risk management, supplier EHS, co-prosperity with suppliers, local community development, technology innovation, accessibility increase. The final category being the environment. It includes GHG reduction at work sites, energy efficiency, water risk management, environmentally friendly products and services, waste management, hazardous substance management, e-waste trackback recycling. Going ahead, the sustainable development must take on account of the effects of technology on the environment and society. Achieving sustainable economic growth will require changes in industrial processes, in the type and amount of resources used, and in the products which are manufactured. Sustainable technology challenges: hidden cost of production, lackluster investment, government apathy, public perception. The true value of a technology and sustainability is divided into two major categories, that are the economic value and the social value. The economic value depends on the maximization of profit and shareholder value, while the social value consists of the reinforcing of global citizenship. Coming on to the entire global picture of true value, they include the people, compliance, human rights, supply chain, corporate citizenship, innovation, green policy, eco-product, EHS management, and customer satisfaction. The Samsung Sustainability Management System, centered about the Corporate Sustainability Management Office, 14 related department comprises the Sustainability Management Council, in which the same department share strategic approaches before implementing them. They are finally divided into corporate management and social responsibility.
So finally, coming to the companies which are actually using sustainable practices, so we'll start with Sony. So Sony has started using efficient energy at the Singapore and the Malaysia corporation locations. In Singapore, implementation a number of key measures to increase lighting efficiency includes the installation of mirror reflectors in order to better diffuse the light. Secondly, reducing energy consumption by Sony Corporation vehicles. In an effort to reduce the total amount of energy consumption by Sony Corporation, the company has been replacing a number of existing vehicles by hybrid vehicles. Thirdly, deployment and utilization of vegetable-based plastics. Plastics that are based in vegetables are a type of biomass, plant matter-based resources. These vegetable-based plastics are superior when compared to conventional plastic because this type reduces consumption of petroleum and contributes to the overall reduction of carbon dioxide emissions. Fourth, promotion of environmentally conscious packaging. Sony Corporation has been able to boost the total quantity of products it is able to load on every container by shrinking the size of their packaging. Lastly, utilizing recycled plastics in products. They have been making an effort to minimize consumption of finite resources by making strides in utilizing recycled plastics in its product. Now coming to the Samsung has declared a green management and green management system. They have started using eco-friendly ideas and vision through the green management declaration, midterm roadmap and environmental declaration. They have also declared EM 2020 map, in which they have said that second phase of midterm roadmap, managing GHG emissions reduction at the product use stage and the annual reduction rate of GHG emission intensity at work site as performance indicator. They are also responding to the climate change. They are analyzing climate change risk and reflecting the results when deciding upon corporate policies according to their importance. And lastly, green communication with relevant stakeholders and green activities through establishing channels and external agencies like the Carbon Disclosure Project and the Water Disclosure Project. So just to conclude, the 7th Environment Action Program, which says living well within the limits of our planet, and the Commission's communication on towards a circular economy, a zero waste program for Europe, emphasizes the importance of more sustainable production and consumption patterns. In particular, the 7th EAP urges the Union policy framework to ensure that priority products placed on the Union market are eco-designed in order to optimize resource and material efficiency. It is not difficult to argue for the EC's choice of framing its upcoming strategies under the encompassing umbrella of circular economy, given that the overall saving potential for the European industry by improving the use of resources is worth €630 billion per year. boosting European Union GDP by up to 3.9% and reducing material input needs by 17 to 24% by 2030. Nor it is far-fetched to expect an immense ecological potential in the transition towards a reuse model, which could be able to respond to the greenhouse gas emission challenge and to increase energy efficiency, among other things. For the individual consumer, the interpretation of the term justified consumer expectations and conformity with the contract in relation to early and unexpected failure of the product should be explored. The introduction of the criteria durability into the definition of conformity as currently stipulated in the 1999-44 Consumer Sales Directive would be necessary to facilitate consumer remedies under the legal guarantee rights in such cases. Moreover, the new measurement methods will be needed to ensure that market surveillance authorities will be able to check of durability requirements, which may be introduced more widely under the EU Eco Design Directive in the future.